Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're sort of cutting through all the usual noise, the modern dating advice, the games, the endless rules, the whole idea of manufactured scarcity. We want to dive straight into something deeper, something timeless. Our mission today is, well, it's a bit of an unusual intellectual matchup. We're looking for the timeless principles of genuine attraction, real meaningful connection. Because let's face it, in this age of swiping left and right, the actual art of building something solid, something respectful, feels kind of lost sometimes, doesn't it? We want to stop asking about playing coy and start figuring out how to lead with real integrity. So here's the big question, the provocative idea for today. What if the secret to actually capturing someone's heart, authentically, lies in understanding this subtle dance, this blend of strategy and genuine sincerity? And to guide us, we put together this really unlikely team of thinkers. We're talking Niccolò Machiavelli, the political strategist.
Right, the author of The Prince.
Exactly. Then there's Giacomo Casanova, the legendary charmer.
Quite the reputation.
And even the sheer audacity of someone like Victor Lustig, the master con man.
Okay, now that's an interesting addition. Lustig.
Yeah, stick with us here. We're not talking about becoming con artists. We're extracting the high-level insights, the philosophical, the psychological nuggets from these figures. These are ideas usually aimed at, running states or pulling off huge schemes.
Right. High-stakes strategy.
And we're applying them purely to respectful, intelligent courtship. So the goal for you, listening, is clarity. How to be thoughtful, maybe even strategic, but without ever being manipulative.
And I think what's really fascinating here is how Machiavelli, specifically The Prince, offers such a sharp lens on basic human behavior. He was observing what makes people loyal, what makes them comply, what leads to betrayal. If you just shift that context from, say, governing a city-state to building a one-on-one connection, you're looking at the same core mechanics. What creates emotional impact? What builds trust? What breaks it?
So it's about the underlying psychology.
Exactly. And connecting this to the bigger picture here, strategy isn't the point, it's the tool. We're looking for strategies that actually leverage things like empathy, emotional intelligence. It's not about dominating someone, it's about applying your mind, your effort thoughtfully to show respect.
Okay.
The strategy should enhance your kindness, your real self, not replace it.
Right, and that feels like the crucial distinction. We need a framework, maybe, that blends the necessary, let's call it strategy, to actually stand out, to be memorable, to take some initiative. But it has to be fused with kindness, with authenticity. That's what makes a connection last. It's about being deliberate, yes, but in a good way, thoughtful. Okay, let's just dive right in then. Let's unpack this with our first big principle. This one really sets the stage how you approach things. So the core idea here, it's this absolute need to balance two things. Intellectual intrigue, sort of that mystery, and overt strength, confidence, self-assurance. Think about someone like Casanova. History tells us he didn't win people over by being the loudest guy in the room.
No, not at all.
Apparently, he was often incredibly observant, quiet even. Yeah. That's the fox, right? Seeing everything. But at the same time, he just radiated this deep self-possession. You couldn't ignore him. That's the lion.
Right. And Machiavelli gives us this perfect analogy. He famously said, a wise ruler or a prince ought to choose the fox and the lion. Why? Because, as he put it, the lion cannot defend himself against snares, and the fox cannot defend himself against wolves.
Snares and wolves.
Yeah.
Okay. Translate that for us in, like, a modern dating context.
Okay. So the fox represents strategic intelligence. It's about seeing the emotional snares, the nuances, the subtleties, the things most people completely miss in an interaction.
Right. So let's get practical with the fox. How does that actually look? It's about, what, paying attention.
It's about keen observation, almost like ethical information gathering. You notice the small things, like maybe she mentions a specific obscure author she loves, or she idly traces the rim of her glass when she's thinking deeply.
And you remember it. You reference it later.
Exactly. It shows you were listening, really listening. Being fox-like means treating interactions like, well, not interrogations, but opportunities to understand. Asking thoughtful questions, not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Yeah, questions that show you're actually curious about her, not just trying to impress.
Precisely. Machiavelli himself said, "He who has known best how to employ the fox has succeeded best." In courtship, what does that mean? It means that sharp, empathetic insight lets you tailor everything. Your conversation, your gestures, maybe even the date idea itself. It makes the other person feel uniquely seen.
Because most people just talk at each other, don't they?
They do. The fox listens, remembers, and connects the dots.
Okay, but there's a danger there, right?
Yeah.
If you're all fox, just observing, collecting data, you could seem passive. Or worse, kind of creepy, manipulative even.
Totally. That's why you absolutely need the lion. The fox provides the insight, but the lion provides the
Yeah.
presence, the action.
Okay, so the lion, what's that in practice?
The lion is that calm, purposeful confidence. It's partly physical, standing tall, making steady eye contact. Not aggressive, but, present, speaking clearly, not fidgeting or mumbling because you're unsure. It shows you value yourself.
It's having the integrity to just be there, solid.
And it's the courage to act on the fox's insights. The fox figures out what might resonate, but the lion has the guts to actually do it.
Like
Mustering the confidence to suggest that slightly unusual date idea that perfectly matches something she mentioned loving. Or maybe sharing something genuinely personal, something vulnerable about yourself, without needing constant reassurance back, taking that initiative.
Okay, let's try a quick scenario. Say, planning a second date. The fox noticed she talked passionately about volunteering at an animal shelter, but also mentioned how draining the city bustle is.
Right. Good observation.
So the lion doesn't just suggest another noisy bar. The lion takes initiative. Maybe you arrange a short 1-hour volunteer slot together at that shelter she likes.
Oh, nice.
Followed by, say, a quiet picnic lunch you packed yourself in a nearby park.
That's a fantastic blend, see? The plan itself, volunteering picnic, shows that fox-like insight into her values, her needs, right? Stress reduction, her passion project. But the execution, actually setting it up, packing the lunch, leading the way with a positive, calm energy, that's the lion. Purposeful strength, kindness in action.
Okay, that makes sense. But there has to be a warning label here.
Absolutely. And it comes straight from Machiavelli. Relying only on the lion, he basically said, means you do not understand what they are about. If you're all roaring confidence, all aggression, all initiative, without the fox's sensitivity,
You steamroll people.
you miss the snares, you ignore boundaries, you don't pick up on discomfort, you become repellent, fast, it's clumsy.
So the real goal of blending the fox and lion isn't just to impress. It's about creating, strategic safety.
That's a great way to put it, strategic safety. Your balanced presence should make the other person feel intrigued, by your depth, your observation, that's the fox, but also completely secure in your strength and your good intentions. That's the lion.
Your actions signal respect and personal strength, not one or the other.
Precisely. It's a foundation.
Okay, so that foundation is set. Insight, confidence, balance. But insight and confidence are kind of useless if you just stand there, right? You actually have to do something.
All right. You have to step into the arena.
Which brings us perfectly to law number 2. This one requires, a bit of nerve. So the core concept here is pretty straightforward, actually. Respectful courtship, trying to genuinely connect, it takes courage. Think about those figures we mentioned, Casanova, sure, but even Lustig in his own weird way. They understood something crucial. You have to make bold moves sometimes, especially when everyone else is hesitating, playing it safe.
And Machiavelli thought a lot about this idea of fortuna, luck, fate, opportunity. His view was, it was definitely provocative for his time, and maybe ours too. He wrote, and this is a famous line, "It is better to be adventurous than cautious, because fortune is a woman, and it is necessary, if you wish to master her, to conquer her by force."
Whoa. Okay, that line definitely lands with a thud today. Conquer her by force. That sounds not great.
It sounds awful out of context, absolutely. We have to be careful here. The language is archaic and aggressive. But let's try to unpack the psychological principle he might have been aiming for, setting aside the problematic metaphor for a second.
Okay, what was the principle underneath?
The takeaway, I think, is that fortune, let's just call it life's opportunities or favorable outcomes, tends to reward the daring. The person who doesn't get stuck in analysis paralysis, but steps forward with conviction when the moment feels right.
Less hesitation, more action.
Kinda. He even doubled down, saying fortune is therefore always womanlike, a lover of young men because they are less cautious, more violent, and with more audacity command her. Again, ignore the outdated gender stuff, focus on the psychology. Less cautious, more audacious action grabs attention. It signals high perceived value, maybe, commitment to the moment.
Okay, I see where you're going. It's about demonstrating conviction, which, weirdly, brings us back to Victor Lustig selling the Eiffel Tower. He didn't do it through intricate planning alone. He did it through sheer, unadulterated audacity. He presented his crazy idea with such conviction that people believed him. They bought into the reality he created.
Ah, okay. So Translating that to courtship, it's about taking calculated risks. Not being reckless, but expressing genuine interest or feeling boldly.
Exactly. For someone trying to connect respectfully, practical boldness means stepping up when the emotional timing feels right. Not being aggressive, but being clear.
So less beating around the bush.
Right. Stop with the vague, hang out sometime. Maybe ask directly for a specific outing you've thought about. Or share something creative you made, like if you write. Maybe share a short poem inspired by a conversation without being paralyzed by the fear of looking foolish.
That vulnerability is the boldness, isn't it? Sharing something personal like that.
Totally. If you genuinely enjoy painting, maybe sending a small sketch capturing a moment you shared, that's audacious. It opens you right up to judgment. But it also screams, I'm willing to invest real, unique effort and vulnerability here.
Okay, so the boldest move might actually be expressing genuine feeling. If you feel a real spark, letting it be known. Through sincere compliments, maybe about her character, not just looks, or talking about what truly excites you, your passions.
Yeah, it avoids those endless, toxic guessing games.
Yeah.
Machiavelli noted outcomes depend as much on boldness as caution. Straightforwardness shows confidence.
Mm-hmm. Clarity is kind.
But, okay, the flip side of boldness is, well, falling flat on your face. Rejection. If we're embracing audacity, we have to be ready for things not to work out.
Absolutely essential. And handling that outcome gracefully is part of the strategy itself. Audacity brings clarity, right?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, or just not now.
Then the lion part we talked about takes over.
Exactly. You accept it with dignity, understanding, no bitterness, no lashing out. That ability to handle rejection well, that might be the boldest demonstration of strong character there is. It shows resilience.
Okay, I still need to push on this a bit. We're invoking Machiavelli, Lustig, figures known for, let's say, pushing boundaries pretty hard. Where's that line? When does bold become bullying, audacity become arrogance or manipulation?
The line is empathy. Always empathy. Audacity must never generate resentment or make someone feel unsafe. Machiavelli constantly warned leaders against actions that breed hatred or contempt.
Right, because that leads to instability, or in dating, just repulsion.
Precisely. So for a suitor, this means never ever pressuring someone. Never ignoring a clear boundary, whether it's spoken or just obvious in their body language. Your bold initiative cannot cross into intrusion.
So you lean in, maybe be direct.
Yes, lean forward metaphorically. Show presence. But you must always be watching, sensing, attuned to her comfort level. You show strength by taking the lead, but you show respect by instantly adapting if she shows any hesitation. It's a dance.
That idea of presentation, how your moves are perceived, how you manage that perception, that leads us straight into the next principle, doesn't it?
Right.
So you've embraced being observant like the fox, bold like the lion. Now you have to think very strategically about how you actually appear, how you're perceived. And Machiavelli is pretty blunt about this. He says, men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, meaning what people see matters a lot.
Yeah.
Often more than the hidden reality, especially at first.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder that first impressions, outward appearances, they carry huge weight. In courtship, this isn't just about clothes, obviously. It's the whole package.
The total presence.
Exactly. Visual, sure. But also speech, posture, your overall behavior, everything that's visible.
Okay, let's break that down. Beyond just don't be sloppy. What does investing in presentation mean here?
Well, fundamentally, it signals respect. Respect for yourself and respect for the other person, for the encounter itself. Clean, well-fitting clothes that suit the occasion. That's basic, non-negotiable. But maybe more importantly, think about posture and eye contact. Standing tall, not slouching. Maintaining steady, honest eye contact. It projects confidence, yes, but also dependability, engagement.
Whereas slouching, fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, it subconsciously signals insecurity, maybe even shiftiness.
It can, yeah. It undermines everything else you're trying to convey.
Then there's this other Machiavellian concept, appearing virtuous. He advised leaders to appear merciful, faithful, humane, upright, religious, even if they weren't always feeling it. That sounds cynical.
It can sound cynical, absolutely, but let's flip it. The positive application is profound. Consciously display the positive characteristics you genuinely possess or aspire to. Make your inner values visible.
Okay, so applied to someone trying to build a connection. It means actively highlighting honor, attentiveness, kindness through your actions.
Precisely. If you value compassion, don't just feel it, show it. Listen without interrupting constantly. Hold the door. Be polite to service staff. And crucially, keep your promises.
Dependability, that seems huge.
It's a massive strategic asset. Being reliable, showing up on time, doing what you say you'll do, being consistent. These are visible demonstrations of character. They build trust faster than almost anything else, especially in a world where flakiness is common.
It provides that feeling of security people crave.
Exactly. But appearance isn't just visual or physical actions, it's your conversation too. The words you choose are a huge part of how you present yourself.
You need to make sure your words align with those virtues Machiavelli mentioned: mercy, faith, humanity.
Right. Which means consciously avoiding certain things, like negativity traps, gossiping about others, bragging excessively, constant cynicism. These things broadcast a lack of inner strength or kindness. Instead, you focus on respectful, kind communication. Use compliments, but thoughtfully. Not just generic flattery, you look nice, but specific praise about character or effort. I was really impressed by how you handled that tricky question in the meeting. Or, I admire your dedication to your marathon training. Something earned.
Okay, I have to push back again, though. If we're talking about crafting an appearance, appearing virtuous, isn't this just encouraging people to be fake, to put on an act?
That's the absolute core tension here, and it's crucial. Authenticity within strategy. Look, the appearance you craft, it has to be rooted in your actual character. If it's just a mask, it will shatter.
People sense fakeness eventually, right?
Very quickly, usually. Especially someone you're hoping to connect with deeply. Machiavelli noted men are easily deceived, yes, but not permanently. Sincerity, or the lack of it, leaks out. Think of the appearance not as a fake front, but as a faithful invitation to what's really underneath. It's about consciously putting your best self forward, consistently, not pretending to be someone you're not.
So if your appearance of being honorable is just an act, the first sign of stress, the first disagreement, and the whole thing falls apart.
Exactly. It has no foundation.
Machiavelli had that great line summarizing the power dynamic. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few really know what you are.
That's it. Your thoughtfully crafted appearance sets the stage. It builds that initial trust, which then invites the deeper connection, allowing someone to get to know the real you. You want your advertisement to accurately reflect the quality of the product, if you will.
So we've covered how to observe and be present, fox and lion, how to be bold, audacity, and how to show up well, appearance. But even the best laid plan.
Can go sideways fast if you can't read the room.
Exactly. Which takes us right into law 4, adaptability. Okay, flexibility. This feels critical. A rigid plan, a script you stick to no matter what, it just doesn't work with people. Human interaction is messy, fluid.
Totally unpredictable sometimes.
And Machiavelli knew this about leadership too. He said, the prince who directs his actions according to the spirit of the times will be successful.
Right. And in courtship, the spirit of the times is the emotional weather of the moment, the situational context. It demands constant, attunement. You have to recognize that moods shift.
She might be quiet and thoughtful one minute, then suddenly energetic the next.
Exactly. And this is where your fox and lion skills really come into play again. If she seems quieter than usual, the fox notices. The lion doesn't just barrel ahead with his planned, witty banter.
No, the lion adapts.
Instantly. Maybe adopts a softer tone, asks a gentle, open-ended question, gives her space. If she's suddenly animated and excited about something, you match that energy. You engage with it. You adapt your pace.
So a lot of this relies on reading nonverbal cues, doesn't it? This is basically emotional intelligence in action.
High-level EQ, absolutely. You have to notice how she's speaking. Is her voice tight, stressed, or relaxed and open? Is she leaning in when you share a story, making eye contact? Or is she physically pulling back, looking away?
Those signals are everything. Leaning in, mirroring your posture.
Yeah.
That's a green light, right? Keep going. Maybe even increase the connection slightly.
But if you see signs of disengagement, fiddling with her phone, brief answers, that withdrawn posture, you have to pivot immediately.
Change the topic. Suggest moving locations. Slow down.
Any of the above, whatever fits.
Yeah.
The key is you are adapting your strategy to her comfort, her reality in that moment, not stubbornly sticking to your own agenda.
This applies to plans too, right? Not just conversation.
Oh, absolutely. You need to be ready for what Machiavelli might admire as necessary impetuosity, a sudden change of course driven by circumstances.
Like you planned this fancy dinner reservation weeks ago.
Right, the perfect lion move, perhaps.
But 5 minutes before you meet, she texts saying she's utterly exhausted from a brutal week at work. The rigid person gets annoyed, maybe tries to guilt her into going anyway.
Yeah, bad move. Contempt generating, potentially. The adaptive suitor, they don't miss a beat.
They say, okay, no problem at all. Forget the reservation. How about we just grab easy takeout and watch a dumb movie at your place?
Yeah.
Or just go for a quiet walk.
Exactly. It recalls Machiavelli praising Pope Julius II, whose sudden, bold moves succeeded precisely because they were unexpected and adapted to the moment where caution would have failed. That adaptability shows immense thoughtfulness. It prioritizes her well-being over your plan. That scores huge points.
This whole law feels fundamentally about respecting boundaries and pace. You mentioned Machiavelli warning leaders to avoid actions that generate hatred or contempt.
Yes, very important.
In attraction, that translates directly.
Yeah.
Forcing physical touch before she's ready. Pushing for intensely personal information too soon that generates discomfort, distrust, maybe even contempt.
Right. Adaptation often means slowing down. If you sense any resistance, any hesitation, verbal or nonverbal, you adapt by backing off slightly. Give space. Shift the focus back to comfortable territory.
You match her pace. If she offers a handshake, you take it. If she leans in slightly, you might reciprocate. You let her signals guide the tempo.
And this responsiveness, this constant adjustment, it's like a trust magnet, honestly. Most people operate on their own rigid scripts. When you consistently demonstrate that you're reading the situation and adjusting to her experience.
She feels seen, really seen.
And safe. Exactly. That's the foundation of security in any connection. Situations change, feelings ebb and flow. Your ability to navigate that current smoothly without crashing into her boundaries, that speaks volumes about your character, your integrity.
And that integrity, which underpins this whole adaptive approach, needs to be consistently reinforced.
Through how you communicate, right? Which brings us to the final piece, okay, our final law. This feels like it ties everything together. It reinforces that your actions, your strategies, they have to be matched by genuine virtue in your communication. You mentioned Machiavelli advising his prince to basically let nothing slip out that wasn't aligned with 5 key virtues. What were they again?
Mercy, faith, humanity, uprightness, and religion. But we might interpret religion more broadly today as maybe moral compass or integrity. Right. So for someone trying to connect today, that translates into communicating with demonstrable kindness and integrity. Every message, spoken or not, needs to reinforce respect. You're basically managing your reputation for being honorable.
And that starts with something fundamental but often overlooked. Active, empathic listening, like really listening.
Not just waiting to talk. No.
Yeah. Giving your full, undivided attention. It's actually a subtle power move because it signals that what she's saying is the most important thing happening right then. Asking clarifying questions. And crucially, remembering the details later.
That goes back to the fox, doesn't it? Remembering the little things.
It does. It demonstrates that humanity and mercy. Machiavelli mentioned you show profound care by paying attention.
And then when it's your turn to share, be genuine, transparent, share your real passions, your dreams, maybe even appropriate vulnerabilities when the time is right. Because Machiavelli also noted, men judge by what they see and what results come of it.
Actions backing words.
So your words have to lead to reliable actions. If you say you'll call tomorrow, you call tomorrow. If you suggest getting together next week, you actually follow up and make the plan.
That reliability isn't just nice, it's strategic power. It builds that foundational security we keep talking about. It makes you stand out.
You also need to use words that actively build trust, not just fill time.
Absolutely. Sincere compliments, remember. Focused on character intelligence, kindness, resilience, not just surface stuff. And when disagreements happen, because they will.
The virtuous suitor, the strategic one, handles it calmly, honestly, without getting defensive or accusatory.
Right. Because trust is incredibly fragile. And following that Machiavellian rule of avoiding contempt, you never betray her confidence, never speak badly of her to others, even if things don't work out. That consistency is what separates someone genuinely relationship-worthy from a player.
There's another interesting communication tactic we can pull from Machiavelli here, about identifying current needs. Yes. He observed that people are simple and subject to present necessities. Now, simple sounds condescending, but let's interpret necessities as immediate feelings, current needs, not just grand, abstract ideas.
So people are moved by what's happening right now.
Pretty much. So instead of rigidly sticking to your conversational plan, if she mentions she's completely wiped out or dealing with a stressful family thing.
The empathetic strategic response isn't to quickly change the subject back to something fun.
No, it's to pivot, to address that immediate need, offer comfort, offer support, maybe just listen without trying to fix it, or offer a small, practical gesture, can I grab you a coffee, need help with that errand, addressing that present necessity thoughtfully. Incredibly powerful connection builder.
It shows you're attuned to her reality.
Exactly. And finally, underlying all of this communication is consistency. The prince, Machiavelli said, must appear steadfastly virtuous in all interactions.
So if you're warm, engaged, attentive on date one, you have to maintain that. You can't suddenly become distant or unreliable on date 5. If you do, the entire structure collapses. All the trust you built evaporates. Building real attraction, deep connection, it takes time, patience, consistent, honest effort.
That consistency reinforces everything else we talked about. Your mystery seems sincere because it's backed by reliability.
Yeah.
Your boldness feels earned because you follow through. Your adaptability shines because she trusts your fundamental intentions are good.
Precisely. No manipulative games, just consistent, thoughtful, respectful communication and action. Hashtag tag outro. So when you put it all together, we've really synthesized quite a powerful strategic framework here, haven't we? By blending Machiavelli's insight, Casanova's charisma, maybe even Lustig's high-value audacity.
Yeah.
But filtering it all through emotional intelligence and genuine respect, we get this robust 5-part model for building real connection.
Yeah, it really hangs together.
You've got the fox and lion for balanced presence, audacity tempered by respect, appearance rooted in authenticity, action driven by adaptation, and communication guided by purpose and empathy. It's a well-rounded approach.
Yeah.
Deeply compelling, I think.
It feels less like tricks and more like understanding people.
That's exactly it. These aren't tricks. They're reflections on human nature, applied thoughtfully, and they all hinge on compassion, ultimately. And self-awareness, listening as much as you speak, being kind, but also being courageous. At the end of the day, a respectful, thoughtful suitor who operates with this kind of awareness, they always hold the high ground, strategically speaking, because they're building something real, something durable. Integrity wins.
Right.
So consider yourself now, you listening, a student of human nature, armed with some, maybe unexpected, wisdom from the past, but ready to use it honorably. Machiavelli saw that people are often taken by appearances, by what seems to be. So let what she sees in you be someone of undeniable honor. Consistency. And yeah, maybe a little intriguing intelligence too.
Use the strategy as your map, perhaps. But let your genuine sincerity, your real character, be the compass that guides you. This whole journey of winning affection, it can be respectful, it can be exhilarating, and deeply meaningful. The only question left is, which part of this strategic sincerity are you going to focus on refining first? Maybe mastering the fox's observation, or finding the lion's courage for that authentic, bold move. Somebody to think about.